Welcome to Airlock, a 4 vs 1 asymmetrical horror and strategy board game. In this game, 4 people play as crewmates who are trying to escape their hijacked spaceship before time runs out. They face off against one player who controls the evil ship AI that is commanding the alien intruders, preventing their escape. But it's not as simple as just moving your character straight to the end. Airlock features a vision mechanic that prevents the crewmates from seeing the ship AI's intruders until they are close enough. Let's review how it works. A large component of this game is the vision system that allows the ship AI to see all the pieces on the board, while making the crewmates operate under a fog of war that only allows them to see objects in their range of movement. The board is split into 2 duplicate maps and uses a divider in between, so that the ship AI can hide the positions of certain objects from the crewmates. Please note that the divider is not meant to restrict the ship AI player, so they are allowed to look over at the crewmate's side at any time. Let us use this diagram to explain how the 2 sides work. On the right, the ship AI has everything laid out on their side of the board, but on the left, the crewmates only have the objects that are within their movement range of 2 tiles. So because this crewmate cannot reach the intruders in 2 non-diagonal moves, the intruders are not placed on the crewmate's side of the board. Before we go over the setup, we must first familiarize ourselves with the elements of the board. The map is divided into several rooms that are each separated by doorways and walls. The thick black lines represent the walls, while the thick gray lines represent the doorways. Both intruders and crewmates cannot pass through walls, but they may pass through doorways. Each room is identified by the number in its top left corner. There are tiles on the board that have special interactions whenever a crewmate or intruder lands on them. These green tiles are airlocks. Airlocks function as safe spaces for the crewmates. These numbered tiles are vents. Intruders may use these vents to move to different rooms. Lastly, we will cover the special rooms, Room 0 and 10. Room 0 is called the engine room. It is also the room where the crewmates start in and they respawn in. Room 10 is called the escape pods, and it's also the room that the crewmates must land in to escape. Intruders may not move into both of these rooms. Now let's review the game pieces. These circular pieces are called tokens. Character tokens refer to the tokens that have a crewmate or intruder on them. These other tokens are referred to as placeable pieces because they are placed down by the ship AI during the game. These long sticks are not tokens, but they are also placeable pieces. Lastly, the game comes with a mat for the players to put their cards and game pieces on. Now, we will go over the setup of the game. First, determine which player will control the ship AI and which players will control the crewmates. For this tutorial, I will show the setup for both sides. We will assign the side of the board with the round counter to the ship AI and the other side to the crewmates. Then, we will place the screen in the middle of the board. At this point, the board should look something like this. Now, the ship AI may customize the board layout by choosing the positions of walls and supplies. Walls are these thick, long silver pieces, and they function as if they were the thick black lines on the board. They block movement and therefore crewmates' vision. These walls can be placed in between any tiles except on doorways, and there can be at most 1 wall in each room. The walls are revealed to the crewmates, so the ship AI must mirror the walls on the crewmate's side of the board using the 5 duplicate set of pieces. The ship AI must also place the supplies. They are represented as these blue tokens. Supplies are placed on tiles and they can be put in any room except room 10, the escape pods. The supplies grant crewmates items when they are stepped on, so the ship AI should choose to put these in hard to reach places. Unlike the walls, the supplies are hidden to the crewmates until they are within the crewmates' movement range. Now let us turn our attention to the ability cards. There are ability cards for both crewmates and ship AI, and they all do different things. On each card, there is a description of what it does underneath the image. The ship AI starts with all of the intruder ability cards, but the crewmates only start off with 4 of the 9 total crewmate ability cards. So, you should shuffle the ability cards and take out 4 randomly, and then put the rest of them in the draw pile. Now, The last thing we need to do is to place the crewmates' character tokens in the engine room, or room 0. Then we need to have the ship AI player match the crewmates' positions on their side of the board, and then place their own intruder tokens down on their side. There is no limit to the amount of intruders in the same room, and they may spawn in any room except for rooms 0, 10, 6, 7, 8, and on airlocks and vents. Now, the crewmates must determine the order in which they will take turns, and they must stick to this ordering for the rest of the game. This game is played out in rounds. Each round starts with all the crewmates making their turn, and then the ship AI takes their turn. Then, each round ends with a vision and round count update. The ship AI must track the crewmates' movement on their side of the board during the crewmate's turn, so that everything on the crewmate's board is present on the ship AI's board. The team of crewmates wins if at least 3 escape, the ship AI wins if at most 1 crewmate escapes, and the game is considered a draw when 2 crewmates escape. The crewmates have 12 rounds to escape before the game is over. So now we will go through 1 round of gameplay. The first thing we do in each round is start with the crewmate's turn. During their turn, all the crewmates will make their moves in a fixed order. Each crewmate can move their character and use ability cards during their turn, and they're able to use abilities before, during, and after their movement. However, once another crewmate's turn starts, they may no longer do any movement or abilities. Each crew member is allowed to move up to 2 tiles per turn in the cardinal directions. This means that moving diagonally will cost 2 tiles of movement. They may pass through crewmates, but they cannot land on the same tile as another crew member. Then, after all the crewmates have finished their turn, the ship AI's turn begins. Each intruder can be moved on the ship AI's turn. The ship AI may only use 1 ability card per turn. As for movement, the intruders can only move up to 1 tile non-diagonally, and they cannot land on the same tile as another intruder. Intruders have special interactions with the airlock and vent tiles. Whenever an intruder moves into an airlock tile, they will move to the other side of that airlock instead of going inside of it. And whenever an intruder is standing on a vent and hasn't moved yet, they can move to a vent in any connected room. Rooms are connected by doorways or airlocks. However, they cannot move after using the vent, but they can still capture crewmates if they are standing on the vent that they're moving to. After the ship AI's turn, the round ends with a vision and round counter update. In this updating phase of the game, the ship AI must update the crewmate side of the board by adding or removing pieces that are in or out of the crewmate's movement range. Then, when everything is done, they must slide the round counter 1 tile up from where it is. Now that the round is over, we will repeat the 3 phases of the game and start with the crewmate's turn again. Now we will talk about what happens when an intruder is on the same tile as a crewmate. When that happens, the crewmate dies and they must respawn back in the engine room.